Good morning. It is Thursday, May 14th, 2026, and we welcome you to the Facilities and Purchasing Committee meeting. First, I want to just let everyone know that this meeting is being recorded. Second, if you have any questions as we go through the agenda, please raise your hand. Do not write anything in the chat, but just raise your hand, and we will call on you, and you'll be able to ask your question. Without further ado, if we could start with the list of bills, Mr. Orlando.
Yes, attached to the list of bills for consideration and approval. Are there any questions?
So before we have any questions, I just want to note that the administration, the board, and Ken Roos had put together an addendum that we had talked about at previous meetings about breaking down a little bit of into more detail the legal fees that we spend per month. So that's attached at the end. So I appreciate all of the effort that went into this from the administration and Whistler Pearlstein to break that down. So thank you. Sheena, did you have a question?
I did. I had two. I was looking just by virtue of the size of the line items. Line 1213 for visual sound. I was just hoping for more detail on that.
Yeah, that's the first payment for the panel project as approved by the board. That's the BC portion was completed last month.
The panel, the new electric panel, is that what it is?
The panels, they're replacing the projectors with the interactive panels.
Oh, I see.
So that this is the first. So this is the first phase.
Okay.
See amount that's been completed.
I just spaced for a second on what panels you were talking about, and the other one, I was hoping just for some more detail. The last item, line 1295 to U.S. Foods.
Yeah, that's so U.S. Foods is the main supplier we use for our food supply.
Okay.
So they're on every month. So that's just, whatever Mr. Hussein and his staff have purchased that month.
Okay, and so that money gets paid out of the nutritional services budget.
That's the food service fund. That's correct.
Okay, yeah. All right. I figured that was the case. I just know nutritional services has always been kind of its own little island of budgetary goodness, and wanted to double check on that. Okay, so that is all accounted for. All right.
Yeah. So on the reports, it's Fund 51. Fund 51 is the food service report. Look at page 22. You'll see it says Fund 51.
I see.
Claims that's always food service.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Jen, any questions?
Jen's dropping her kid off at school, so she may not be.
Okay.
I think she's
not
listening.
a problem.
But
not a problem. Abby, any questions?
No, thank you.
Perfect. The only question I had was it's actually on the screen now. The Zooswick music, the 1256. I know that individual parents have the responsibility of paying for it. So I was just curious as to when it says repair main services and general supplies and books and periodicals. Is that in addition to what parents pay?
That's correct. So the district, we own our own music instruments here, Jason. So they have to repair from time to time. They'll be the repairs, general supplies. Or maybe I'm not a musician, but it's whatever the musicians use for like what do you call it? The music sheets. I'm not a musician, but
sheet music.
Yeah, sheet music. There you go.
All right, perfect.
So the ones we would own would be like the pianos and the drums and things like that.
We own saxophones and other instruments too. Wind instruments. There's some that the school actually owns. We replace them periodically. I say every year as things break and are outdated. Okay. We're doing that for years.
Perfect. Thank you. At this time, Shayna, Abby, are we okay moving this forward?
Yes.
And Jen.
Oh, and Jen. Sorry. Jen, you okay?
It's
good?
Okay.
You're okay to move this forward?
Yes, I am. Yes,
excellent.
I am.
Thank you. So if we can move on to the purchasing report, please.
I think Mr. Lil's has a bunch of items here. He'll start off with the purchasing report.
Thank you. Good morning. Number one is an item that we recently went out to bid. This is part of the school district's school safety and security. It's an ongoing program with various vulnerability assessments and other services that are being implemented or provisions that are being implemented in terms of the district-wide safety and security. And this is also connected with the program that the PCCD, Pennsylvania Committee for Crime, Pennsylvania Committee for Crime and Delinquency. It's a state program that also provides some funding. Sorry about that. So basically, these are vehicle bollards. This is to prevent vehicles from crashing into portions of the building that we don't want them to. This would be This is a district-wide project, so this is various schools, all of the different schools, again based on the security assessment. And again, this was low bid, so we are recommending that the bid received on April 30th from Bertolite Construction to install vehicle bollards district-wide be accepted in the base bid amount of $206,150. And you will see two columns there that talk about a bid alternates. There was a request for them to price an installation of one bollard at Gladwin, in addition to others that are going at that school. We're recommending the board decline that. And there was also an alternate for bollards at Harriton. However, the door that would protect is actually at the top of steps. So it really is not necessary to have those installed, but we did have them price that option, which again, we would recommend declining. So the base bid is everything else district-wide at $206,150. If it's okay, I was going to move on to forgive me, that work will be performed this summer.
Can I just ask you, can you repeat the name of you said Pennsylvania something crime and delinquency? Can you repeat what that is? I'm sorry. I was trying to write it down for myself.
Help me out here. It's the Pennsylvania Commission for Crime and Delinquency.
I got you. It's the PA Commission on Crime and Delinquency, PCCD.
Okay. PCCD. So as Mr. Hall said, as part of the governor's budget this year, the mental health and safety program, about 113,000 of that 206 be funded through the grant. The balance 93 roughly be funded through the general fund.
Thank you very much.
I apologize. I got a little tongue-tied on that one. If that's
Mr.
okay.
Lil, before we
Yes.
move on, you told us why we should say no to the Harriton alternate. What was the reasoning for not needing the one at Gladwin?
The door that would protect is like further up, and actually it's a winding path to get there. So it really doesn't. In my opinion, I think it's going to become more of a nuisance than a benefit.
Okay,
But
great.
the other areas of Gladwin are fully covered in the base bid, as well as Harriton. It's fully covered in the base bid, and the other schools.
You want to do all of them and then we can ask questions afterwards?
That'd be great.
Perfect. Thank you.
I will actually combine 2, 3, and 4, and many of these items you're going to see are actually annual contracts that actually don't take effect until the beginning of the 26-27 fiscal year on July 1st. However, we bring these to the board so we have everyone lined up for these services, which are just required for the day-to-day operations and ongoing upkeep. So I'm going to take items 2, 3, and 4 and combine them because they're all through a company called Kistler O'Brien Fire Protection, and the services that they provide, again, on an annual basis, they will perform inspections of our sprinkler systems and fire pump that requires specific certifications for that work to be done at the required frequencies. The next item for Kistler would be kitchen hood service above the commercial cooking equipment in the food service kitchens, cafeterias, and then also all the fire extinguishers throughout the entire school district have to be tested and charged on an annual basis. And the third and final Kistler item is fire system backflow inspections, and those devices are part of the fire protection water system that serves all our buildings and are required by code and also need to be inspected on a regular basis. So those three items are recommended for approval at the prices listed on the purchasing report. The fifth item on the purchasing report would be chambers flooring. Every summer we have the gym floors, the wood gym floors, basically refinished. It helps the longevity of the floor and keeps them in good working order. And you can see with the various gym services, all the different schools total together. It's recommended that Chambers flooring be approved for gym floor refinishing under the applicable CoStars Consortium in the amount of $46,455. The item 6, fire alarm monitoring. All of our schools have fire alarm panels. They all have communication devices that dial out to a constantly attended location that would notify 911 in the case of a alarm. Again, those have to be monitored 24/7. The monitoring company that handles our accounts is Johnson Controls Fire Protection for fire alarm monitoring service under the DGS consortium for the upcoming year in the amount of $10,500. Item number 7, building automation systems. This is the controls that manage all of our HVAC equipment. Those are being approved at Lower Merion and Harrington High School. Those building automation systems are manufactured by, well, they are Johnson Controls system. So we're asking for that preventive maintenance service agreement, which is a 3-year contract, be approved in the total amount of $68,156 for that entire 3-year duration. We do have a different building automation systems at different schools based on when they were constructed and how that was installed on the mechanical construction contract. We have a number of schools that operate with the HVAC equipment utilizing a Siemens building automation system. That's just another manufacturer. Again, that's another 3-year agreement approved in the overall amount of $70,894. Number 9 is elevator maintenance and inspections. Again, those have to be done on a regular routine basis. Tri-State Elevator, $10,392. Item number 10 is water treatment services for the HVAC equipment. None of this is anything related to drinking water. These are the cooling tower and other systems that are basically part of the HVAC infrastructure, but none of it's potable. And that would be a 1-year contract to Proasis for $16,860. Number 11, we are required to have the bleachers inspected at all of the secondary schools, both in the gyms and the stadium bleacher systems. And those inspections will be performed this upcoming year by Degler Whiting at a cost of $27,142. The next couple of items are, I think Mr. Orlando will handle, so I get a chance to catch my breath.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lowe. So next item up is the copier paper. Annually, we buy our copier paper through the Montgomery County Intermediate Cooperative Bidding Consortium. W.B. Mason has awarded the contract for this year at $28.41 per carton. That is up 30 cents from the current year of $28.11. And we use approximately around 3,500 cartons each year. The next item are sewing machines at Lower Merion High School, 25 through school specialty for $10,161. These have are at their end of useful life. I believe they're original ones. So they are breaking, and we need to replace those sewing machines for the Family Consumer Science Program. The next one is through the Food Service Fund, pass through holding cabinet at Penwood Elementary. That cabinet is 25 plus years old. It has been failing, so that needs to be replaced. So pricing from Singer Equipment for a Vulcan pass-through holding cabinet model VPT15. And that's through the Upper Dublin School District purchasing bid. So we piggyback off of that bid to get good pricing. It's $7,626.66. The next item are 3 proof holding cabinets, one at Penn Valley Elementary. That is replaced the current one, which again is 25 years plus old. That is failing, needs to be replaced. At Howard Taylor Marion, these are 2 additional proof holding cabinets to help out with the volume that they have at the school, and also some of the offerings that hopefully to do next year. And that is through Singer Equipment Company also. And that is the Vulcan Proofing Holding Cabinet, model number VPT 181M3ZN. Again, it's through the Upper Dublin School District Cooperative Purchasing Bid. I just want to know one correction. The total price is actually $7,941.63. So there's an error there. It's $20 more that's on the screen. We will revise the report after the meeting to reflect that at the board level for Monday night. The next item is a cargo van. This is replaced. So our courier has a van that we use every day for various mailings around all the different buildings. The current van is a 2015 van that recently experiencing transmission issues, and also engine issues. So right now it's not going to pass inspection, and it would be an exuberant amount of money to possibly fix that van, which is already 15 years plus old. So we'd like to replace that, and that's through CoStar contract 025 F22-387 in the amount of $50,293. The next item is the heavy duty large tire mounter and changer system that is used at the transportation garage from Lift Now under the Sourcewell contract 121223-LFT in the amount of $28,508.51. The current mounter system that we use is 37 years old. The general lifespan is somewhere between 15 to 20 years. And recently we've been experiencing hydraulic fluid has been leaking from the changer. So we need to replace that item. And the next one is the 25 multi-directional PTZ cameras with associated wall mounts. These are security cameras, and they're through Time and Parking Controls, which does business as I2 Security Solutions. And that's on the CoStar's contract 040E23-222 in the amount of $84,914.15. And then the last item is Lenovo Chromebooks, $1,470. This is an amended award pricing under SHI of the Omnia contract, partner contract 020-24056-02 $839,370. And the last 2 items, Mr. Shahari is here to answer specifics on number 18, and Mr. Catalano is here for more details on number 19.
Thank you so much for all the information. Sheena, any questions regarding the purchasing report? Great. Jen, any questions from the purchasing report?
Just one quick question, but Vic and Ken, you guys are absolutely amazing, so thorough. And I love how you tied it to what like cost center things go to. Just a quick question: the Lenovo Chromebooks, I may have missed it. What is? Oh, never mind. I see for 2nd and 5th graders. Okay, I see it. I answered my own question. Thank you.
That's good. Abby, any questions?
Not at this time. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I just had a couple of questions just to follow up. I just want to make sure. So the ballards that are going to be installed, as well as the cameras, those are based on the recommendations from the security assessment that we most recently did?
That is correct. And also with Mr. Shariari on board, David Shariari, we've been coordinating this work with him since his arrival, and he's very familiar with all of those PCCD programs, and also the vulnerability assessment that was recently performed. And again, these are ongoing things that incrementally we're addressing the various recommendations and upgrades.
No, we really appreciate it, both from a committee, from a board, and the community of making sure that we're incorporating, the security assessments as we can. So thank you for making that a priority. And then all of the other maintenance that's the regular scheduled maintenance, like with regards to the bleacher inspections and the floor refinishing, all that's going to be done over the summer, right? While the students aren't in session.
Certainly the floor finishing, absolutely, because that's the downtime. Those inspections go on throughout the year because, the fire pump may have an inspection that may come due in January. But it's the type of work that can be done that doesn't impact the occupancy of the building. We just need to make sure our inspections stay current on things like fire protection systems, elevators, things of that nature. So some of those are throughout that school year. Again, no impact on the building occupants. To your point, refinishing a floor will need to be done when there's summer downtime.
Perfect, great. And then the last question I just had was with regards to the last item, the Lenovo Chromebooks. I know that the administration is evaluating our policies and procedures regarding technology. This incorporates that, so this as well as incorporates the administration's ideas of going forward. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't going to approve something that you might not want or you might want amended later on.
No, yes, it does. Looking at the younger grades, whatever we do with that, students in the model that we have are assigned a Chromebook at second grade, and then they own that Chromebook, or it's theirs second, third, and fourth. And again, in third grade, they start taking state testing on their individual items and things like that. So this takes into consideration things that we may have planned for the policy.
Excellent. All right, perfect. I have no other questions. Do we have any comments or questions from the community?
I do not have any raised hands.
Perfect. Are we okay moving this forward? Abby, Jen, and Shayna?
I am. I had one kind of related question while I have Mr. Catalano here. Can I ask quickly?
Sure.
You said you were testing those MacBook Neos, and I was wondering if there had been any progress on that and what the thinking was from your team.
So far, it's been very positive. We got a couple to work on. Our initial evaluation went well. We now have a pilot set of 30, and we're working with curriculum and the instructional coaches to work on that pilot. And if everything goes well, it's looking good for next year.
And that would not affect at all the number of Chromebooks we would need for this purchase?
We would have to phase it in anyway. So if this works out, we would buy the Neos potentially in 5th and 9th grade moving forward. And then we would adjust at the elementary level based on the pilot.
Okay, great. I will tell you from my anecdotal data of one middle schooler, there's a lot of interest in that. So thank you for your work on that.
Thank you very much.
Perfect. Are we okay moving this forward?
Yes.
Yep.
Perfect. Just before we move on to the next thing, I forgot to ask if there was any comments from the community on the list of bills. I just wanted to confirm that there were no comments or questions regarding the list of bills.
Raised hands at that time, Jason. I did look.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure we were including them. Awesome. If we can move on to the district contracts, thank you very much.
Morning, everybody. There are 19 district contracts on the list. The first 13 are coming out of the curriculum department, and I'll defer to Ms. Frazier for the last 6. The first 13 were presented in more detail on Monday evening. I will present some highlights to them of some of the bigger ticket items and some ones that are more relevant, and then I'll ask for questions, if that's okay. On Monday evening, grades 3 to 5 science curriculum resource adoption was presented by KD Davenport, who was on the Zoom. Thank you, KD. And it was a good presentation. It was KD went over the pilot. The second biggest ticket item there is also science. As was explained, Pennsylvania changed their state standards, the PA Steels. It caused us to have to change our curriculum resources and support in those grades. That was for grades 6 through 8, and that was presented last year. And we have multiple year purchasing cycles, so that's why you're seeing that again. Other things that are on there are 3 databases that we are purchasing or asking to purchase: Capstone, Pebble Go, EBSCO, and World Book Advanced. They all serve 3 very different functions, developmentally, they're different in what ages we use them, and that's going to keep people off of Google making searches and trying to get research and having more scholarly research databases. That's common in school districts. We have a Making Math Matter. We had a big math core resource adoption recently. And in the Making Math Matters, that is our, when we purchase these materials, the materials aren't the curriculum, the teachers implementing them are, and we are investing in our teachers to do so. So they're the big purchases that I wanted to highlight, and I'll pause for any questions before we get to student services.
Dana, any questions? Jen, any questions?
No, Scott did an excellent job, him and his team on Monday, thoroughly going over everything. So I encourage community, if you're on here, to definitely listen to the curriculum meeting from this past Monday. They did an excellent job.
Thank you, Jen. Abby, any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Great. I don't have any questions. Scott, if you'd like to continue on.
I think now it's student services, right, Scott? You're good.
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Sorry,
Yep.
Kimberly. Yes,
Yep.
sorry about
Yep.
that.
That's
Go
okay.
ahead.
I mean, Scott, you can do mine too. So, good morning. We have several here for student services. So the first two, Criticare and GHR, are connected to our health services. So we always have contracts with agencies to support with providing nurses for work that we can't complete with our current staffing. As I've talked about before in previous times, we're always short-staffed. Even if we would reach a moment when we would be fully staffed, we still need additional work. We use our agency support to help with things like when we have a lot of nurses out on a given day, we might say we need someone from agency to come in and do in-district work. We also use them for, we have a lot of work that needs to be done, supports for our extracurriculars, our critical experiences, and so we need support with being able to cover those for safety reasons. These are both renewals. We have ongoing partnerships with both Criticare and GHR. For both of these, this time, they are addendums to our current contract, so they're simply renewals, and there is no increase in the pricing. It's the first time I've been able to say that to you in a while, so I'm excited that I can share that with you. So again, there's no change in the pricing of those. If it's helpful to frame it, for the budget for the 26-27 school year, we have allotted $400,000 for the support of agencies. And again, I'm sharing with you what it covers. Next on the list is MCIU, Intergovernmental Agreement. For people who aren't aware, Montgomery County Intermediate Unit supports all of the public school systems within the Montgomery County. So they are our primary support for extra services. We use funds that we receive from IDEA to cover the expenses that we have for MCIU. It is a high figure you see there, almost 1.5 million. What's covered in that? An example are like direct services. So some of the specialized related services, hearing support, vision support, orientation and mobility, that's covered through MCIU. So the cost for those direct student services are covered under this intergovernmental agreement. They also cover some specialized evaluations. So if we need a bilingual evaluation for a student, if we need a hearing evaluation or an auditory processing evaluation, some of those specialized evals, those come through the intermediate unit. Also included within this are our 5 behavior specialists that we have. We have 5, as we've talked about when we went through the work of Policy 236. We are fortunate that we have 5 board-certified behavior analysts that support the work of the district across all of our schools. That is a pretty high figure, and that, like other things within student services, is really about cost demand. Over the years, we've seen a significant increase in the cost of our behavior specialists because of the demand across all districts. From moving forward, right, and we see like a 6% increase in that cost, but to frame it for you, it's at around $875 a day for those 5 behavior specialists that we have. But again, they're highly specialized positions with specialized training, which also contributes to the cost of that. So that's the MCIU intergovernmental agreement. You also see on there SCORE and Smart Future. That falls under student services and our counseling department. For people who are really interested in this, the proposal is that this is ultimately going to replace Cooter Galaxy and Naviance for our career and college readiness. We have requirements under Title 22, under PA School Code. We have our K-12 guidance plan, and we have requirements for career and college readiness, requirements K-12 for activities that we have to complete. But also that includes like a maintenance of the activities so that we could show when a student exits all the things that they did connected to college and career readiness. If people are really interested, there was a presentation at the curriculum committee of the board on March 9th. So that presentation would be posted so you could go and get more information. So that is the SCORE and the Smart Futures. I will be back in June. We need to do Naviance for 1-year transition for our current high school students, particularly our current juniors, to make it least disruptive for them. We just didn't have that contract in time for this meeting. So I'm just previewing that you'll see me again with this similar conversation. For the Lincoln Center, this is another renewal. This is for our 2 full-time wellness counselors. We have 1 wellness counselor at each of our high school. They are master's level counselors who provide Tier 1 interventions for students. They provide wellness activities and support. They meet with individual students if that's needed. They meet with groups of students. They provide information to the full student body. We've had these wellness counselors in place at our high schools since 2017. So we've had a long-standing partnership with the Lincoln Center. There is an increase this year in the per counselor cost. The total amount of the increase is $6,000, but it is an increase of 3.4%. So I would point out to you that it's a little bit of an increase, but that I believe goes along with what we would typically see with inflation costs. Any questions?
Thank you very much. I have a question. I have 2 questions. I don't know if you had mentioned, is the MCIU contract, has that been an increase in general in price, or is it just the BCBA piece that you were pulling out to show?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for asking that. No, in general, we've seen an increase in some of those individual line items, like your vision. I mentioned about like vision, hearing. Those per hour costs have also increased, and some of that over time is just when you get some of those really highly specialized positions where you need really specialized training and you have limited people within that field to be able to fill those positions, you naturally see an increase in some of those prices. So it's a natural increase. The other thing that's included within that a little bit I didn't mention is like if we have tuition at an MCIU program, right, that might be in there. And we generally with tuition costs see a 3 to 5% increase every year. So
Okay.
it's an overall increase in individual
Okay.
things.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And my other question with SCORE, so when it was presented in March, there was a 2-2 split. So the committee did not vote to approve it. So I'm curious.
Okay.
If I know Frank, I had asked him about this, if you can just explain how it's here now.
Yeah, so it's still going to be presented to the board because it wasn't passed through with a majority vote from the committee to the board. It will be pulled as off the consent agenda and discussed and voted for separately at the regular board business meeting.
And so, sorry,
Thank
just
you,
for clarity, it was not voted. It didn't have enough of a majority to go through with the recommendation of the committee. That does not mean that it is not available to be voted on by the full board. It just means that as it's presented, it can't be presented with the full recommendation of the committee.
Got it. Okay. And then, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was saying
Okay.
correct. Uh-huh.
Okay.
And
And I just wanted to,
with that, Abby, if I may,
yes.
please, before we move on, like another thing I'd point out, and I talked with our team members here in the K-4 age group. What we're talking about per year is less than an hour of direct access to the program. We use the program for like teacher activities and things that would be separate, but direct student access, it's like 3 lessons, 15 minutes each. So it's a very minimal amount of time that they're actually on the technology part of it. Just want to share that if it's helpful.
I
And
appreciate that.
actually, the elementary level one was voted to go through with the recommendation. It was the higher level one.
Yeah, scores, but I appreciate that anyway. That's reassuring always to hear. I was just looking at the presentation from March in preparation for this meeting, and the cost differential is different. It looked like it was going to be like $2,000 for for now, and then it was going to be, I think, 14,000 for the future year. And I'm curious why we're paying for it now, or why it's on, like, it looked like it was scheduled to be paid for 2 years from now. I'm curious why it's this way now.
So it's the particular contract that we have. So when you get those quotes initially, right, they give you a time limit. So they say like this is quote that's good through. We had to get updated quotes on this. And both of these are being proposed for the 26-27 school year. So our proposal is to purchase them so we have them for 26, starting in 26-27.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Shayna, I'm having a conversation by myself with muted on. Shayna?
Yes, thank you. Okay, I had 2 questions, Kim. One is on the nurses, and I see that we have the hourly that we pay for those nurses to the agency. Do we have the information of what those nurses are actually paid themselves, like what their rate that they take home is?
Yeah, I don't, because they don't break it down in the contract of like what's their like agency administrative cost versus the pay of the individuals. I don't have that information. I am not sure I could get it, but if the board really wanted that, I could attempt to get that from the agencies.
No, it's okay. It's mostly my hope that while I understand that we can't provide benefits and all the things that we do for our district employees, that when we have these folks that are coming in on contracts, that we are still paying people something approaching a living wage, because managing a budget is hard, but people work for us and we want to take care of our people as best we can. And if they're in our buildings, there are people.
Yeah. And Shannon, I would say I appreciate you saying that, because that's actually what our team members say all the time. Like they couldn't tell you who's agency versus contract sometimes because, or district employee, because they do become part of our team, especially those contractors who are with us, regularly. The only thing I would say that gives me a little reassurance is that it is very rare that between the 2 agencies, they are not able to cover something for us. That does not happen very often. And so that tells me I would make an assumption that they're paying well enough because they really have not had trouble filling what we need.
Good. And I will take this opportunity to shout out the nurses in this district, past and present, because I was here when we went through COVID, and we had our nurses were staffing a 24-hour a day reporting line, and they really pulled their weight and then some through that, and they got us through. And I know they're still there every single day, but that has always been very impactful. I have an extra soft spot in my heart for our LM nurses. Moving on, just a question about the behavior specialists and how that works. Is that purely for students that have that listed out as part of their IEP or 504, or is it only, or is it for like they're in the building and if, say, a behavioral situation in a classroom arose, or could it be a mixture of both?
Yeah. So primarily they're supporting students with disabilities, right? And we have 5. They're with us. Usually they're brought on board and they stay with us usually for multiple years. They're assigned to different schools, and so it's generally students with disabilities. It might be either students who are already receiving services, or they are part of an evaluation when there are behaviors of concern and the functional behavior assessments required. The functional behavior assessment really looks at what's the behavior of concern, what are the antecedents, what do we believe the consequences are, and does a student need a behavior plan? They are the experts that lead the functional behavior assessment. So it might be that we need to do a functional behavior assessment for a student who's not already identified. And then they are critical members of our Team 236. That Team 236 meets monthly. They provide professional learning to those team members. They're like leads within that. And that's not to say that they don't consult when asked if there is like a general education student that the team might be needing a little bit of guidance on. They can also provide guidance in that regard, consultation.
So are they would they also be the kind of folks that would respond if there were some sort of emergency situation where a student's behavior was outside of what could be coped with in the normal day-to-day?
They're part of that team. So if they're in the building at that time and Team 236 is called to support, they would definitely be part of that response team.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Jen, any questions?
No questions. Thank you, Kimberly.
Abby, any other questions?
Well, there we go. I do have one quick one, really fast. For the nursing services, does that cover the private schools or the non-public schools that we are also
Yes, we use,
supporting?
so it does when we can't do it with our own staff. We usually do have our own CSNs that are also providing a level of support. But yes, it can if needed.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate everything, Kimberly. Scott, I just had, not to go backwards, but I just had a question going backwards to the first half of it for the curriculum. I was just curious, when we list on there, for example, the Carolina Smithsonian Science Classroom student books, and then also making math, what was the other one? Imagine Learning consumable workbooks. Are both those physical workbooks or are those digital?
Well, when you say both those, the first one you said was Carolina.
Yeah, sorry, Carolina Smithsonian Science of Classroom says including student books. I was just curious as to whether or not that was a physical book or if that was like a electronic book.
Physical book, yep.
Great. And then when you say Imagine Learning Twig Science 725 consumable workbooks, is that also referencing?
Correct, yes.
That's a physical workbook.
Yep.
Great. So whenever it says workbook on there, we're going to be incorporating that into the curriculum as well, right? I mean, we're going to be, I would assume we're paying for it. We're going to be utilizing those physical workbooks.
We are. I just saw KD come back on the Zoom, so KD, I'll let you answer it more directly.
Could I hear the question repeated?
Sorry, I was just saying that on some of these it says consumable workbook and student workbook. I just want to make sure that we're incorporating, obviously, if we're paying for it, those workbooks, those physical workbooks into the curriculum as well.
Yes.
Excellent. All right, perfect.
Jason, I just want to piggyback on like Scott and Katie that are here, their great work. If, we do, I encourage you guys to go back and listen to curriculum, but they have done such a great job. And this is for the community too, to hear. The majority of our curriculum is backed by workbooks and textbooks and everything, and is fully utilized. And they do such a great job in these curriculum presentations, breaking down how our students are using the textbooks. I love that we have students even on our curriculum committee now reassuring me, and I'm sitting next to, so you use this. So I just want to just reassure, because I know you're not part of the curriculum meeting, they do such a great job explaining the use of the textbooks. Sometimes it might be 2 textbooks, to just really how it's really enforcing the lessons and things that are being learned by our students in the classroom. So I just want the community to hear that as well, because so many times if you just attend one committee meeting, you miss the meat and the potatoes of what we're approving here. And it's just so important that I encourage you to go back and listen to the curriculum meeting that's tied to what we're approving today.
Thanks, Mr.
Perfect. Thank you.
Can I just jump in real quick? And on these contracts, when it says workbooks, that's a consumable. And when it says textbooks or just books, that is a reusable resource that children are not writing in. And so that it can get passed down class to class. Yes?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, for Smithsonian, for example, it says student books. Those are not workbooks that students write in. They're permanent books that we keep.
Perfect. Okay, great. Moving forward, are we okay moving these items forward?
Yes.
Shayna?
Sorry, I had too many windows open. Yes.
Abby?
I'm going to abstain as the score contract is still here. So I'll abstain.
So let me
I don't know if I can pull that out and abstain and like vote
so let
yes
me
and
ask you this.
everything else.
Dr. Ranelli, is score going to end up being on, no matter what happens here, it's going to show up on the board meeting on Monday, right?
Correct.
And so I actually went to go look at it online. Unfortunately, the curriculum committee meeting from March 9th is no longer available under the committee meetings. So for the time being, if it has no impact on it, can we not, just so that we don't have a recommendation, just because I'd like to see the committee meeting again. I saw it the first time, but when I went to go look at it, it's after, for whatever reason, it wasn't available. So if there's any way that we can send that to the board members, the committee meeting before, so that people can take a look at it. But is there any way that just for the time being, we can essentially pull that, even though as long as there's no detrimental impact and it's going to end up showing up on Monday anyway, can we just, so that we can move the whole thing forward? Can we just
So
pull that
I
from
would
this?
just, you can move all of them except line 70 if you'd like, or line whatever it is, 714. I can't read it. It's so small.
764.
Yeah, so you can move all of it except that line. Shayna, if you're okay with that, individual board members, because, again, it's going to be on the agenda for Monday night. And, again, as a quote unquote pulled item that you'll discuss.
I would like to still be able to vote to move it
Yeah.
forward or not,
Yep.
because frankly,
Me
I don't
too.
see any reason at all not to move it forward. And
Well, I think the problem that I have is that, in fairness, I wanted to go back to the committee meeting to take a look at it and to review it. Since I recently found out that, the curriculum committee didn't have a majority to push it forward and it wasn't available to watch. So I think
discussed it
it
in
puts
the
me in an
full board.
uncomfortable, huh?
We
Jason,
discussed it in the full board meeting, and I gave a several minute.
And it is
recap.
available to watch.
Okay,
I-
can I
Jen, I don't
interrupt?
mean to interrupt. Jen, I don't mean to interrupt. They're kept for 1 month until the next meeting. So that one is down, but I could forward
Yeah.
that to the board members to look at one more time.
Can I just interrupt really quickly, Dr. Ranelli? Can I
Yeah.
just think, so that you're correct, it is only for until the next meeting and then it's replaced. But the meeting minutes are what records whatever happens at the
That's what
meeting.
I meant.
It is
Yeah.
recorded in the meeting minutes, Jason. When you go back to look at that, you will see that what transpired. And it can move forward even today. Like it doesn't have to be reviewed again. It can move forward for a full board review, even if one person does not, or two people do not agree at a committee meeting.
Right. All I'm saying is our decision has no bearing on what's going to happen to it, right? No matter what we decide as a committee here, it's going to the board meeting on Monday. I'm just saying that since I wanted to watch the video, it wasn't available on the video. I think just for my due diligence and for my ability to say that I saw it the first time, but I haven't seen it in 2 months. I'm just asking if we're comfortable with being able to it's going there anyway. There's no detrimental impact on it. Is there a need to approve it or not approve it at this point if it's already going there? That's all I'm
Detrimental
asking.
impact is having a necessary piece of equipment and a required tool that will cost our district less than what we're currently using and isn't a program that is currently being sued by class action lawsuit for their behavior for our students that
But
may
but
not
Shayna,
go-
but Shayna, no matter
Right, I
what we
understand,
decide,
but stuff will get presented to the full board as recommended by the committee or not recommended by the committee, and that is received differently. And I just
I think we're all entitled, I think, to vote as our conscience sort of
Okay,
dictates.
so-
And my position hasn't changed. I completely respect your positions. I would like to essentially abstain or vote no on this item if we are able to do that. If not, you're all entitled to vote as you wish, but I will be voting no as
Okay.
my position hasn't changed when I voted no in March
all
on
right,
this
so
specific topic.
all right, so putting 764 aside, we're all comfortable with moving this forward?
Yes.
Okay. With regards to item 764, the score, Shayna, you're asking to move this forward. You're okay with moving it forward?
Yes, please.
Jennifer, you're okay with moving this forward?
Yes, we received a very thorough presentation. I want to thank the administration for all your hard work. Even students I'm here to advocate for have expressed they really need this tool, and it helps, and even parents have expressed how it helps them stay in touch with what their students doing throughout their years in high school. So I fully support SCORE and want this to move forward. And Jason, I'm here to answer any questions you would like.
No, I appreciate
I
that.
know once you watch the video, I'm just letting you
I'm
know.
just asking for an opportunity to watch the video before Monday again, since I saw it the first time after
Oh, I
committee
understand. I was
meeting.
just offering my help.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I also know that we have an enormous amount of other things to cover at this meeting, so I didn't want this to be like prolonged with just this. So I'm going to abstain at this point. It's going on Monday. It has no impact on this score. It doesn't impact it. It doesn't prevent us from having it on Monday's board meeting. It doesn't prevent us from getting these services. It has no bearing whatsoever. So I'm going to abstain at this point and ask if you could just forward me a copy of the video so that I can take a look at it, as well as the other board members, so that all of us can have it most recently watched before Monday's meeting. Abby, and you're abstaining or you're voting against it?
I'm voting no. My position hasn't changed. We can go into why, but I think that probably is appropriate.
I think that we should wait until Monday for that. I'd rather spend our time on the facilities and purchasing for us to go over the other items as well. Okay, perfect. All right. With that being said, can we move on to item number D, the arbiter registration, please?
Jason, I don't know if you wanted to ask if there's any.
Oh, sorry. Are there any comments? Sorry, I apologize. Thank you, Denise, keeping me in line. Do we have any comments or questions from the community regarding the district contracts?
I do not see any raised hands, but I just wanted, since there was such a discussion, I just wanted to offer that up.
Appreciate that.
Yep.
If we can move over to the arbiter, please.
Good morning. So this contract is a 3-year renewal of our current arbiter registration contract. So arbiter registration is part of the arbiter platform. This particular one, it's a way for us to securely collect all the required PIAA forms for physicals for students. This is across all 5 of the secondary schools. This contract is split. So each season, parents create a login, they go in and submit their students' PIAA forms, which then go to our athletic staffs in the correct buildings. The athletic trainers will be able to look at those forms and give the final approval of whether this student is medically able to compete for that season. So it really does streamline this process for us, and it offers real-time tracking of this data. So we're not trying to track down paper forms, and making sure that the students that are medically able to participate are being cleared and allowed to play. This is also used to monitor coaching compliance. So there's certain courses that coaches have to take every year. They upload their certifications into Arbiter, and that's a way for us as athletic staff to monitor that they have those correct compliance in place. Again, it's 3 years split across the 5 different buildings. We are starting at a lower cost per year than the previous contract because there's no built-in training. At this point, we were paying for built-in training. That is gone. Our usage has increased. The original contract was for about 3,000 students per year. This year alone, we had over 4,500 students use this platform for registration.
Excellent. Thank you. Shayna, do we have any questions on this? Jen?
No.
Abby?
No, thank you.
Any questions from the community?
No, there's not.
Excellent. Are we okay moving this forward?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jason, I think the next item is the Advanced Protection Company Security Service Agreement. Unfortunately, Mr. Shahari had to attend to a student matter, so Ms. Schaefer and I are here just kind of giving a quick overview. So APC is the current security company we've been using the last several years. We want to continue their year-to-year contract. The terms are all the same that the board approved last year. The only difference is how the price went up. The security agents are currently paying $28 an hour. It's going up to $30 an hour. And the site supervisor is going up from $32 an hour to $33 an hour. Everything else is the same. And these are security guards out of all of our 11 buildings and the DAO that you see when you enter the building.
Thank you very much. Shayna, any questions on this?
I do. I always like to double check these guards are not armed.
That's correct. They're not armed. They have all the security, all the clearances as required by the contract.
Thank you.
Jen, any questions?
No.
Abby, any questions?
No, thank you.
Great. Any questions from the community?
No, there's not.
Excellent. Thank you. Are we okay moving this forward?
Yes.
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 Perfect. Thank you. All right, moving on to our Power School renewal quote.
I think Mr. Wilson's here to kind of give an overview of the Power School HR programs.
Great, thank you.
Good morning, all. Can you hear me?
We can, thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah. So Power School, we utilize it significantly. It continues to be of one of our primary sources for managing our talent acquisition, our recruiting. So we have the recruit and hire portion of it. This is how we people apply for positions here in the Lower Merion School District, and it's a system that we also use portal for the outside, and how we track the collection of those applications, the evaluation of those applications, and moving them through a process that gets them from the initial reach out all the way to scheduling actual interviews and tracking and recording the actual hire before we implement them into our other side, which is our human resources information system. So these two work in tandem. Power School is the portion of it that supports the talent ed side that gets that work done.
Thank you very much. Shayna, any questions from you? Jen, any questions from you?
Nothing from me, thanks.
Abby, any questions from you?
I had asked when we were discussing prior, I'd love to see the contract, the full contract. It would be really helpful to see, as I think this might predate our current tenure. And as we were talking about the other contract with data breaches, Power School has had data breaches as well. So it just would be helpful to see kind of what the language is, because I haven't seen it. Thank you.
Any questions from the community?
No, there's not.
Great. Are we okay moving this forward?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And if we can move on to item G, NetRICS.
Good morning. This is a renewal of our NetRICS. It's an auditor for our Exchange, which is our mail service, Active Directory, which manages all of our users, and Windows file servers. This is an annual renewal. This provides us with audit logs for our Exchange, Active Directory, and Windows file servers. This quote provides software updates and support for the product for the upcoming school year. And this provides the district with auditing logs that help us optimize our IT and access management operations. It also stores audit events long-term in order to investigate any issues that might arise.
Gina, any questions?
Nope.
Jen, any questions?
Nothing, thank you.
Abby, any questions?
Is this a new vendor? We've had this before.
We've had this for years. It's just a renewal.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Are there any questions from the community?
No, there is not.
Are we okay moving this forward?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All right, moving down to item H. Diligent board docs renewal quote.
I believe that's me. We are going to be renewing the board docs contract for 1 year. PSBA has gone in a different direction and it's a brand new program or platform. And with the transition of my position, we felt that it was best to keep Diligent and Board Docs for the additional year. And if any changes are going to be made, they'll be made after my successor is on board and able to join in on those decisions. So they did honor the same price that they've had with PSBA, which was $9,000 a year, and we will continue with that platform. Any questions?
So excited
Shana?
to see you here, Miss LaPera. I was wondering how board docs reacted or what they've given us after there was the data breach earlier this year or last year. I can't remember. They had a security issue.
They basically admitted that they had a technology issue. It was like a glitch in their system. They fixed the glitch, and outside of some updates and downtimes from that, we have not seen any issues or problems with Word Docs since then.
Okay, so you feel comfortable doing this one more year?
Absolutely.
And just out of curiosity, where did PSBA switch to from board docs? What did they move
It's
to?
called, I think it's called Keystone.
Yeah, it's
And,
called Keystone.
Cool,
yeah,
Keystone.
it is Keystone.
Okay.
We're also looking at possibly moving these services onto our own website, but that's a process that's going to take a fair amount of time because of the stored information that's in board docs. Moving it all over to secure storage on our site and our servers is a pretty complex process. It's not something we can do in 60 days.
Right. Well, thank you for everyone doing the legwork on that, and I appreciate the thought that goes into it.
Jen, any questions for you?
No questions. I use Diligent and it's awesome. So thanks, Denise, for doing your work behind this.
Abby, any questions?
No, thank you very much.
So I guess just to clarify, so the expectation is that this would be for 1 year, and by the end of this contract, we would move from board docs after the year, whether it be to our own internal or to another company. Is that the expectation?
Yes, Jason, we'll figure out which one is best for working for the organization.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions from the community?
We do not.
Are we okay moving this forward?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Wilson Transportation Supervisor. I'm also bringing some contracts for your approval. These are student transportation contracts that 5 of the vendors are used for transporting special needs students, also homeless students under McKinney-Vento Act, and foster care students. The rest of them, the ones that do the home to school is Atlas, Balgo, Everdriven, First Out, and Sarah Car Care. The rest of the vendors are used for trips that we can't do. For example, trips that happen in sports trips or activity trips that happen during the school hours when we transport students home or back. And also for the trips that are more than 2 hours away, we don't really have a good way to support our buses that far out of district. So we cap our trips mostly around approximately 2 hours. So if it's a longer trip, it's most likely will be coach bus. I'm open to questions. These are all renewals, by the way.
Sheena, any questions?
Nope, these have been long-term contractors that we've used, and Mr. Wilson always does good due diligence, so thank you.
Jen, any questions?
No, thank you, Jason.
Abby, any questions?
No, thank you very much.
Excellent. Any questions from the community?
No, there's not.
Perfect. Are we okay moving this forward?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, if we can move on to item J, Brightly Software Incorporated.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll take this one. Brightly Software is a software package we refer to as School Dude. We've been using this for numerous years on the maintenance, building maintenance side for maintenance work orders, and also the facilities use scheduling for outside groups goes through one package or one module, if you will, of School Dude. We're finalizing all of the review by the solicitor. It is a software package. However, there are no student records anywhere near this system. No students are anywhere near it either. Doesn't have any personnel privacy type issues. And again, it's only the personnel who operate it are only limited to people who need to schedule community use or work order or perform a work order. It's web-based, so it has limited interaction with our network. It's all self-supported. So legal counsel is finalizing the agreement with Brightly. It's a pretty standard agreement, and we're actually pretty much done that process because, again, since it is software, we do have an addendum that's added to it, and that addendum has been agreed to by both counsels on both sides of both parties, just waiting for the signature from Brightly. So what I can share with you in the meantime would be the cost, and I will do it in this manner. We've had this system for many, many years. In 23-24, this was a $18,336 cost per year. In 24-25, 25-26, it was $19,872.18 for each of those years. And then we will be asking the board to approve another 1-year agreement. Again, this is a renewal, and that cost will go up to $20,064.23. So there's about a $200 increase next year compared to what we paid this year and also what we paid the year prior. So there isn't any real issue in terms of massive escalation there. We just need to finalize all the signatures, and we'll ask permission or ask approval to move forward for another year with this software and this system.
Thank you very much. Sheena, any questions?
Nope.
Jen, any questions?
No, thanks.
Abby, any questions?
No, thank you.
Do we have any questions from the community?
No, we do not.
Excellent. Are we okay moving this forward?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And if we can move to item 3, which is the updates, the facilities capital projects and bus replacement plan.
I will also be presenting and speaking to this. So we're going to be in the form of a PowerPoint, which I believe is on everyone's screen. And if we go to the next slide, basically you will see the picture of a roof. That's the Lower Merion High School A building. That's where the Lower Merion High School science labs, the supplemental labs, and also the Downs Gym are located. And you'll notice that as we talk about facilities projects over the next 5 years, roofs come up quite frequently. So I put in a picture of a representative roof. If we can go to the next slide, please. What we'd like to explain, and again, this is a presentation that we do every year at the facilities meeting right around May annually. So this is a living document that is ongoing and is updated accordingly. And a couple things that we do point out up front, just as an overall framing it. We're providing this, and it's subject to projections. Again, we're taking forecast 5 years out, and between cost and equipment longevity, there is a estimation projection aspect to it. So these things are subject to change, particularly as you get 3, 4, 5 years beyond where we are today. And we are basically making this forecast based on the information and data currently available. And obviously, we know that with project costs, inflation, supply chains, cost of materials, and labor costs could change in the next few months or few years based on whatever economic factors may exist, which are out of our control. The one thing I always want to focus on and reinforce is you're going to see dozens of projects listed on these slides, and I'm not going to go through every one of them, but it gives a picture of how we put together this plan and what our forecasts look like. However, a project appears on this list or on these slides or in this presentation, it is a recommendation. No project is approved until we actually take the bid or the pricing or the proposal to the board and request approval. For example, the bollards will be approved on Monday night school board meeting. However, at this point, it's a recommendation, as is every one of these projects, which actually falls in the category of both projection and recommendation. So there's nothing locked in stone here. We're not asking the board for a firm commitment for any specific line item or things of that nature. Next slide, please. So you will see that we put a bar chart here to indicate what we see as our expenditures on capital projects. And what is a capital project? From the facility side, I refer to as the infrastructure. Things that are major equipment pieces like chillers, boilers, roofs, again, I mentioned, and other items that are a significant expense, but also have a lifespan beyond just a few years. And that is a whole other topic. But what I want to reinforce on this slide, you see 5 bars on that chart, and each of those bars has a dollar amount attached to it. Those dollar amounts are tied to specific projects which are going to appear in slides forthcoming. And then, of course, once you total those 5 quantities or dollar amounts, you come to the $36,125,000. So it is a forecast, but it is broken down to line item by line item recommendations subject to change. Next slide, please. The one item that is currently being evaluated, and we're just indicating it here on this slide, is the conversations and discussions around the BCMS auditorium, specifically the sound system and the projector. That order of magnitude, rough order of magnitude, is showing the $300,000. I know that the technology department is actively getting information about the scope and other details of that project. Again, no request here for any approval. That's just something that has been identified as, being evaluated as we speak. It doesn't have the same long-term forecast, if you will, that I have on the remainder of these slides. Next slide, please. So when you saw that bar chart and the $36 million total, the 2728 bar quantity amounts, if you will, was $5,400,000. And that is represented by 5 projects. And again, these are forecasted, but the DAO roof, we know will be the next roof that will be replaced. It needs to be a total tear down, tear off based on the failed membrane and wet insulation. Lower Merion High School A building, that was the picture from the first slide. As forecasted about $3 million. We also have to keep inventory of various chillers. Each school has multiple chillers, but each of them has different age, if you will, in terms of when they were installed. And obviously, we try to replace them maybe in a 15-year, give or take, depending on the liability. Asphalt always needs to be replaced, especially the wear and tear. RHR is Rock Hill Road. And then auditorium stage lighting at BC. That rounds out that slide. And again, that's how that one bar, that one quantity, that $1 amount appears in the slide. So what I'm going to ask is for the next slide. And what you will see here is, again, $8,050,000, which is really 2 projects, primarily the roof at Lower Merion High School. I am well aware of the age of Harriton and Lower Merion High School. I was the project manager at the time. Harriton High School opened its doors in September of 2009. Lower Merion High School opened its doors in September of 2010. As we start approaching 2027, 28, 29, 30, those buildings are going to be 20 years old, and that infrastructure is going to be 20 years old. So there's going to be a significant amount of infrastructure, major equipment that's going to be due for replacement based on the fact that it's coming to that end of life in the near future. They're no longer the new high schools, if you will. So the next slide, please. Again, asphalt chillers, various locations, various schools. And I'm going to just ask Ms. DuPont to just basically just go through these slides, just continue through all of them. I'm not going to go into each and every project, but what I'll indicate is that when we have that total on the page with the charts, it's a compilation. It's the sum or sum total of these different slides with different projects, again, based on our forecast for end of life and things of that nature. So actually, the next slide that I'm going to speak to is, and basically everything here is going to be stored on board docs, but in the interest of time, I would ask if we could go to slide, so the number got cut off, 17, if we could. And I just wanted to point out that when you see the overall dollar amount of 53, I'm sorry, when you see a dollar amount of 36,125,000 assigned to facilities related projects, buildings and grounds projects over the next 5 years, not included in that dollar amount and not included in the previous slides are the two items indicated here, which are, again, conceptually at $24 million, which are not included in the totals or the previous slides shown up to this point. So at this point, I'm going to ask to call up the next slide. And we have now, we will enter into the transportation side of our projections, which also falls under the umbrella of the operations department. And I'm going to ask for the next slide, please. I'll also try to slow down a little bit because I think I'm starting to talk fast. Now, the replacement plan here is based on a couple of things in terms of a chronology. In November or December of this year, if all goes to plan, we're going to ask the board to approve the purchase of 15 buses. Now, that is a transaction we typically do in November and December, and we have a really good feel for which 15 buses will be replaced, because we will purchase 15 buses, and when those new buses arrive, 15 old buses will be traded in. So we will always have, or we currently have, a fleet size of 135. Now, we have, again, specific buses that we are planning for that replacement, new purchase, and trade-in. Every bus gets inspected on a regular basis, particularly over the summer. And when we have the fleet in over the summer for a full annual replacement, we can also identify any buses that we think may need to be replaced sooner, or maybe can hang in there another year or two. But we will have a very firm list put together of what new buses we're going to ask for purchasing approval, and then that'll align with 15 existing older buses that will be traded in. Now, placing that order in November or December, based on the lead times of various buses, we won't get those new buses until August or September of the next calendar year. So any of those 15 buses that are scheduled to be taken out of service will still be in operation until its replacement arrives. And you can see, for the most part, it's around the 15 buses per year. And I'll explain to you how we came up with that number. There is a methodology. And again, we have 76 specific buses that we anticipate replacing at a given time. And the color coding actually ties to some things that will appear in the next slides, which I'll ask for the next slide to be brought forward. This is a snapshot of the age of our buses. This is the current fleet. This is the fleet that's on the road today. Nothing's going to change between now and June 30th. We just use that always as the end of year fiscal snapshot. So you can see that for the most part, our buses are somewhere between a year old or less, up to maybe 9 years old. And then as they start getting to the 9, 10, 11, 12 years of age, we have to start considering the reliability and how much more time we can get out of these buses. And we do actually have one bus currently on the road that's between 12 and 13 years old. Normally, we don't do that. However, we recently put some maintenance costs, some major repairs into that bus, so we decided to keep it on the road to get our money's worth. And the other aspect is we don't want to trade buses in too soon. Obviously, we want to make sure we get our money's worth. Now, it's usually not so much the mileage on the buses, it's the wear and tear. It's a heavy start-stop type of life for a bus. And then the other thing is corrosion, which we do our best to clean the underbodies as best we can. But we all know about the rock salt that goes out there every winter, and just corrosion in general is not very friendly as a bus has more and more age on it. All right, so the next slide, please. What this is going to demonstrate, and I'm not going to go through every transaction, if you will, but I showed you a snapshot of what our bus fleet's age is as of today, which again will still be the same on June 30th of 2026. What will happen in July, maybe August of this summer, transportation will take delivery of 14 new buses, which are basically shown there in beige. Those were already approved by the school board. No action necessary on your part. We're just waiting to take delivery and put license plates on them. And then this September, they'll go into service. So when we take a snapshot of our fleet age in June 30th of 2027, those 14 buses will be in service. If they go into service in July or August, then they'll be 10, 11 months old on June 30th of 2027. And you'll see 14 buses on the right-hand side were traded in, taken out of service. Next slide, please. I stated our expectation that we're going to provide or ask for a request to buy 15 buses coming up in November or December. Again, that's several months away, so no action necessary by the board at the moment. And then when those 15 buses arrive and are put into service in 2027 summer, then you can see that light orange cohort appears, and our buses on the right start to phase out, and we are able to keep ourselves at 12 years or less on the bus age, which is a good way to kind of keep things from getting too old and trying to push them too far. Next slide, please. I'm not going to go through the whole progression because it kind of is shown as noted. However, if you looked at a far right and you see that 30, there's 30 buses right now that are in that age bracket, that cohort. So I'm going to encourage and ask that we keep the replacement moving on time, because we really don't want to be hit with a large fleet replacement 3-4 years from now, and then also have older, less reliable buses potentially affecting service. Next slide, please. 16 new buses come in on the left, which is a board approval 2 years from now. And then you can see that 30 cohort dropped down to 14. That's how that got swapped out. Those are what was previously shown as a 30 cohort drops down to 14 when we purchased 16 new buses. And now we're going to the next slide, please. That shows just the next step on this. So I don't want to take up much more time, because I do believe there's another bar chart after this. If you could go to that slide, please. As you can see, we stick to the plan, if you will, and in about 6-7 years, we actually have a pretty good age distribution there, particularly in the left-hand side. And Mr. Vilsons informs me that a standard rule of thumb within the transportation industry is to replace 10% of your fleet every year. So with a total fleet size of 135, we're doing 15, 16 buses. I think we're within line with industry standards. And then you can see that it gives us a pretty healthy and manageable distribution in the years to come. And again, I'm showing you something that is basically going to be the age of our buses in the 31-32 school year, with obviously the disclaimer that it's subject to change, and obviously also subject to the school board approvals that need to take place throughout those years. The next slide actually changes there we go. Now we have a different graph. We currently operate 40 CNG buses, compressed natural gas. There are no manufacturers building those buses currently. So unfortunately, when we trade in a CNG bus, when it reaches end of life, we cannot buy a new CNG bus to replace it. So you can see that based on the projections shown before, eventually the CNG buses are going to be out of the fleet simply because we can't purchase new ones. The market has completely ended in terms of the manufacturers and what the manufacturers manufacture. And if you go to the final slide, thank you for your patience. All we did there is we took both halves of the presentation. That shows all 5 years of projected crystal ball subject to approval projects, facility side. The next column would then show the fleet replacement, 15, 16 buses a year. And again, recognizing and anticipating that a bus will become more expensive every year that we buy them. And then everything just basically gets totaled up. And then there's the 53,425,000, and not included in that figure would be the 24 million that was shown for playgrounds and BC track and anything related to Arnold Field. That 24 million would have to be added to the totals shown on this slide, which concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. It's extremely thorough. Shayna, any questions?
Yes, I have a couple. Oh, I saw early in the slides when you're detailing projects, I saw that there was lighting for BCMS, and I was wondering if you thought that if it is determined to be feasible to do the new sound system for BCMS, if there might be any financial advantage to doing those two projects together, because you have people in doing the work, and if there was any way to bundle that to save on any global costs.
Dana, we're working on that. It'll be presented tomorrow at the finance committee meeting.
Perfect. I will sign on and watch that. The other one, Mr. Vilsons, are we looking, are our bus projections and like just in terms of how many we need to run your system like at peak, is that affected by like at what point is the number of enrolled students affecting that number, and is like the enrollment projections that we're talking to MCPC about, how do those factor into your evaluation of how many buses we need and therefore
That actually, Ms. Gales, I can answer that question.
Okay.
The number of buses again is impacted by the things that you mentioned. Now, again, where the child lives and what school they're enrolled in would be almost on a case-by-case basis. What I can tell you is the number of buses that we operate, even on a daily basis, is really contingent upon the number of drivers that are employed, which means I have now given you the opportunity for the...
Well, it's been a long meeting. I won't do it too much, but Laura Marion is a great place to work, and being a bus driver is a great community service you can do and a great job to have. We have great benefits. We have a $4,000 driver sign-on. lmsd.com/jobs.
Or /buses.
/bus.
Or bus.
God, one of these days I'm going to get it right. And then the other thing I wanted to just tack on, it's probably not much of a question given the national political climate at this point, but you and I have, and Mr. Vilsons have long had a conversation about the future of transitioning our bus fleet to electric buses. And I know at this point it's not feasible. I'm just putting in my little flag in the sand to ask that we just keep it in the back of our minds. And as that becomes a potentiality, we keep working on that.
And Ms. Gaz, I know Mr. Vilsons keeps up on all the various alternative fuels, and we're waiting to find one that we feel that the market's mature enough for us to jump in. We don't want to be in a situation like we are currently with the CNG buses, where we now have a technology that served us well for almost 20 years now, but the market never really caught on. And just for the sake of just maintaining the fleet numbers, I mean, we're showing replacements coming in as diesels, but again, that is all subject to change, and things could change in the next 2, 3, 4 years in terms of market for alternative fuel buses. But at the moment, there's some infancy concerns.
Oh, totally. I understand. I just wanted to say that publicly and let folks know that that's been a long-term conversation, and it still goes on behind the scenes, and my encouragement for that kind of background work. So thank you.
Agreed.
Thank you, Shayna. Jen, any questions?
No questions, just impressed by how far out we're projecting. I mean, you don't even get this in most corporate places, so way to go. This is extremely helpful, and please, as a board member, thank you.
Abby, any questions?
Nope, I echo that. Thank you very much.
So before we get to the community, I just had a couple of questions. One, I would encourage, if possible, to look at the Balconwood Middle School auditorium seating replacement. It looks like you have Welsh Valley on there. And I've sat in both seats. They're very comparable. So I think we should take a look at them and see if that's something that should be placed on the calendar. It looks like the auditorium seating replacement is 3031 for Welsh Valley. And then the other question or comment is that I know that we're looking at the Balconwood Middle School auditorium sound system and projector. I know that the administration has gone above and beyond to gather information to get the ball rolling. I would encourage and see if this is something that can be done in 26, 27. If you look at your forecast, you actually have Welsh Valley's sound system to be updated again in 2031 and 5 years from now. That will be their second upgrade, where Balconwood hasn't even received their first. And the same thing with the projector. So, just if we can try to make every effort, both from a financial as logistical standpoint to see if we can bring that up to the levels of what the other middle schools are. Do we have any comments from the community?
Yes, we have Miss Knight.
Yeah, hi
Ms. Knight?
everybody. Thank you so much for all your work on getting the planning around the Balconwood Middle School auditorium technical equipment. I do have one question that may not be able to be answered here. For the stage lighting, does that include just the stage lighting, or is it also the rails and the supporting structure around that lighting?
All of that would have to be evaluated. I mean, to your point, the lighting actually needs to be supported and installed and hung from something. So obviously, whatever existing supports and infrastructure that's there, we'd have to look if it really would be in line with a suitable system at a middle school level. And again, we have not gone into those details at this time. I know that the technology department has been focusing some efforts recently on more of the sound and projector aspects within that auditorium. And the lighting is something that actually would fall into the facilities department. However, we're getting our projects for this summer finalized, and we'll be working on that in due time.
I would also like to, I can't remember who said it earlier, but re-emphasize that the lighting and sound systems, that there's a lot of, it's not just two separate, completely separate systems in terms of how they work in the space. So keeping that in mind as plans are going forward would be really, really helpful.
Miss Knight, may I please ask where you reside within the district?
I live in Wynwood.
Thank you so much. I just have to record that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Knight. Ms. Beck? You're on mute. Sorry.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Catherine Beck. I have two daughters at Balconwood Middle School, and I reside in Balconwood. And they've participated in BC Applause. And I just wanted to thank you for your swift action with the assessment for the sound system. And I just wanted to emphasize the importance of checking in with Ms. Knight and people who have access to the space and know the specific needs. Again, she mentioned the lighting and the sound. There are certain requirements that whoever's doing the assessment needs to be familiar with.
Thank you. Do we have, sorry, just to circle back, do we have an idea as to when, I know that the administration's in the middle of doing an assessment or a examination of the current facilities there. Do we have an idea of when that information will come back? And is that something that will be presented to this committee?
Yeah, it would have to be presented to this committee once we're finished with all of our research.
Is the expectation that we'll have that within, by the next meeting or the following meeting?
Yeah, I'm
Not
not sure. I
necessarily
don't
the
want to commit. I
financial
don't want to
component
commit to
of it,
that,
but at
Jason.
least.
My hope is yes, and my hope is to get this done as quickly as we can. We've done a lot of work, to try to put that at the top of this list to make sure it gets done. So I'm not going to commit to when you're going to get it, but you're going to get it as soon as we can.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Are there any other comments from the community?
I do not have any more raised hands.
Excellent. So there's nothing to move forward on this. Our next meeting is June 11th, 2026 at 9 a.m. I appreciate everyone's time. I'm sorry that it was a little bit longer than it normally is, but we appreciate the community input and we appreciate all the information from the administration. So I hope everyone has a great day and we look forward to seeing you at our next meeting. Thank you very much.